Welcome aboard everyone, Simon here from the Whales of Wall Street. Today's video we have got to be looking through DRIFE, D-R-I-F-E, that is DRF on the exchange. Guys, this one is dubbed the Uber Killer. Interesting stuff. Let us know in the comments below if you are holding this token or if you have indeed heard of it before. This is one of our selections made from one of our fans out there on our recent community page post around the People's Crypto requests. We're changing the format up slightly. Previously, I kind of maybe like put 4 or 5 together in one video. One, I lost my voice pretty much 3/4 of the way through because they used to go on for like an hour and a half. And two, it was a bit difficult for the descriptions and everything single-handedly to do that. So what we're going to do is basically split up each episode into 2 or 3 parts, depending on how many we get for requests. And obviously every week we will still be putting out, or at least every 2 weeks, a promotional post on community page. So do keep an eye out for that for your future requests. And just to reiterate as well, if we do cover a project quite frequently anyway, we will probably avoid that and just direct you to the videos that we do, or perhaps at least do a reminder video as maybe a roundup one or something like that. So do keep an eye out for those request posts going out on our community page, and we will definitely do the videos as and when the requests come in. So we've got loads of different ones to do for episode 4. This is the first one, so guys, let's crack on with this. So this is, as we've said, dubbed the potential Uber replacement, or indeed Taxi 3.0 is another element of wording they call this. So in a nutshell, guys, first things first, before we go into detail of the project, let's take a look at a couple of top line elements here. So currently trading, this may change of course over a period of time, at around 2.2 cents, so it is up slightly on this day. As you can see the chart here, unfortunately I don't have any proper chart data through TradeView. I don't know why they're so slow sometimes on pulling this together, but you can clearly see back here in the middle of November we had a nice rise up to around 10 cents. This essentially over a kind of month period. If we take this out to perhaps a year to date mechanism, or even let's just look at the all time actually, to be fair. So since launch, very nice uptake here. So it looks like there's a high, or indeed an all-time high, certainly around that spectrum up here over 25 cents. So 25.25 was the high point, and of course tracking down here at 2 cents now. So you could argue that there's still momentum to go to at least get to the 10 cents, let alone the 2025. So other elements of interesting information here that you guys always ask for. So of course circulating supply, albeit not fully confirmed here yet, but 219 million DRF tokens in circulating supply, with a total and max supply of 3.25 billion. We're going to a bit more of the tokenomics throughout the video as well. And finally, also market cap aspects here too. So we're currently looking with no data here at in terms of trading volume, but the market cap here is suggesting around $4.8 million so far, with a fully diluted market cap of 71.8 million at this current point in time. So very interesting stuff so far. So this is the website. We're just going to have a quick look at a few items here. We'll put in some staking info here also. So one of my key points actually, as we go down this web page, I would like to obviously see this on a few more exchanges, particularly some higher tiered ones, but I'm more than adamant that this will of course happen over the course of time. They're an Indian based company from what I gather, so there is obviously that element potentially. I mean, of course there's conversations at the moment about in the Indian government, or trying to pass through a bill to cancel out cryptocurrency. So it's going to be very interesting, the reaction to this. And by the way, if you want us to do an AMA with these guys, let us know in the comments below and we can get that arranged, because I do keep in contact with majority of our projects that we talk about. I have very good links with them through work and everything, so do let me know and we can get that arranged. If you want to have more information, perhaps we'll do it on a live system so you guys can chat away to the marketing team and everyone there as well. Very nice team. that I've been speaking to so far. So yeah, that's one of my thoughts at this current point in time. But of course, MEXC Global is actually, to be fair, becoming very popular. And of course, PancakeSwap as well is for very much the newer tokens, if you like. But of course, as we see here, I mean, the launch, to be fair, was earlier this year, so it's kind of understandable that we're in that position. So very much, as I said, Taxi 3.0. So essentially what they're trying to do is solve the solution around things like removing the middleman or the intermediary, and creating like a commission base for drivers moving forward. So there is sort of rumors, if you like, whether they're sort of accurate or not, is some Uber drivers, not necessarily here in the UK, but maybe across the world, are perhaps not being paid what they should be being paid. So very much actually in some regions potentially under the minimum wage requirements, and certainly here in the UK we do have laws and legislations around that kind of thing. So it's going to be one of those things where it's kind of giving power back more so to the taxi drivers. So here in the UK, I'm sure it's similar to other countries. We have like the black cab still. They had a big hoo-ha a few years back when Uber was sort of integrating itself, especially in London. And the black cab kind of community had to up its game a bit. And I think competition is really good. I think it's enhanced the service of black cabs. And to be fair, I know quite a few drivers for the taxis that we have here in London, as well as other areas. Very genuine people, very nice people, good chatty. And it's slightly different to Uber. I mean, I've had different experiences in Uber, but at the end of the day, like, I just want the ease of use of getting hold of someone to take me from A to B if needed. And it's as simple as that. But here, what we're trying to do with the likes of DRIFE is essentially remove the intermediary, give more profit to payment towards the drivers. And of course, the foundation itself of DRIFE, the mechanism behind it, will be making some revenue as well. So from my understanding, the drivers will share a fraction of the revenue with the foundation that's put in place. We'll go into a bit more information in a second about the foundation aspects, and also quite interestingly, the franchise aspect as well. So what do we like about blockchain within this kind of mechanism? Well, we already talked about this in many other different videos. Smart contracts aspect, bringing in the governance, bringing in things like staking opportunities as well for fair negotiations also. But also you've got things like KYC, digital identity or decentralized identity as well. These are big things that are going to be coming in the near future, especially for access to cars, whether it be your own car personally or access in terms of proof of mechanism and ID towards the driver that you're entering. So actually in some instances, there's technology being built where it's actually integrated potentially into the windows. I think we did a video recently on the BMW group, with the likes of EWT, and showcasing the identity platform on a car window. So you actually approach it, it identifies you with AI using cameras, etc., and then decides whether you're allowed to enter or not, if it's you or not that's booked it. And of course, eventually in the future, I'm sure we'll go more autonomous with this. There won't be drivers as such anymore. It'll just be self-driving cars. And that, again, is the principle of making sure that there's no fraudulent activity or anything like that, or stealing rides and so on and so forth. So it's very interesting to see how that aspect perhaps evolves over time. But yeah, here we go as well. So peer-to-peer network where the two main stakeholders, the rider and the driver, are directly connected for mutual benefit. So not only is it a cost-saving exercise for the customer or the person that's having the transportation service to them, but also to the driver as well. So like we said, where obviously a fraction will go to the foundation and fraction of the revenue will go to the driver. Here we go as well with the app, very similar to Uber, of course. I'm not sure about this photoshopping going on here. It looks a bit suspect, but anyway, drive with DRIFE and earn 100% fare paid by the rider. Get freedom of choice in categories of subscription plans and the rides to accept. So really cool stuff there. So if a driver was self-employed or perhaps wants to be involved in setting up their own franchise, they can indeed do that. I mean, let's just have a look at that quickly as well. I think this is really cool. It reminds me of when back in the day when I was working like EE and Orange and stuff. So Orange at the time used to have loads of franchise stores here in the UK. We're talking about telecoms here, and the ability of people just general public putting some money together and being able to create their own shops. It's very similar principle. So the DRIFE franchise stake DRF to get profit distribution from operations, and it's essentially allowing you to create your own franchise within countries. Now, I think this is actually a really cool idea if you're maybe outside of India, for example, and you think like, oh, this is a great idea, I want to bring this to the UK. You could obviously approach the business of DRIFE and say, look, this is what I want to try and achieve. And then, of course, you need to do a bit of research in the background, or they need to, in terms of development and bringing that to the country eventually. Of course, the way you can't just hyper growth around the world. Of course, you need to maintain a story within your own province, if you like, before you start developing stories elsewhere. But I'm sure that will come in due course for sure. So we talk about staking here, which we'll go into in a second, but nice, interesting information here about NFTs. Of course, NFTs aren't just about collectibles and art pieces of art. NFT is something that's anything and everything that's transferable, that's not related to a dollars aspect. So there's lots of aspects within NFTs, that help within that. So in this particular conversation, talking about geographic locations and geofencing, so very much on the infrastructure, really, once you've integrated within a full blockchain system, it's almost like when you have geofencing on your smartphone, being able to identify your near home, and then certain things happen at home, like lights turn on or the kettle starts boiling, whatever it is. And similar on the other spectrum, if you're going to a business meeting, geofencing allows the people to know that you're very close. And then, of course, other things coming out of that. And as we said, the franchise opportunities, so being able to essentially open up to other areas as well. So I think that's quite cool. Little things to think about. So we've covered like the smart contracts, the peer-to-peer aspect, the KYC, and the subscription based aspect is quite interesting for the rider. So again, crazy photoshopping, but there we go. So freedom to choose. DRIFE's flexible peer-to-peer platform design and decentralized mobility marketplace allows for significant additional user control and customizations. Got incentivization here as well through the tokenomics, allowing things through the ride activities, referral bonuses, etc., which of course be converted into currency if needed. And what's good about this as well is kind of like the algorithm of Uber, to be fair. A lot of this technology is not new, but the infrastructure in place of like supply and demand, making sure you don't get horrific prices like we see here already. You're getting a fair cost, all derived through a fair tokenized system, which I think is very fundamental with this kind of thing, and recognizes some of the issues that of course we have with existing similar situations through the existing kind of services like this already that aren't on blockchain. So look at this: planning a short trip or going to the office, this ride is a direct route to your destination. You'll get a standard car with 4 seats all to yourself. So it's already applying, you don't have to choose the vehicle. It already knows based on your scenario and situation. And particularly, as I just mentioned, with like businesses and things, through smart contract technology, this is going to be the whole thing. Like, oh, we need you in the office, we're sending you a car, and this car will already know what's required, or if it needs to pick people up on the way, the same employees from the same company, all this cool stuff that will be put in play for that kind of thing. How to request a ride, of course I haven't downloaded the app myself, I'm not even in the country, but very much again similar aspects that you would expect from this kind of service. So yeah, there's loads of really cool opportunities with this. I do like that it's giving competition to the likes of Uber, whether you like them or not. Of course, some people have very strong opinions for them and against them. I think as a user, all you really want to know is that are you going to reliably be picked up and taken to your destination in a reliable, efficient fashion. The rest outside of that comes through marketing and user experience and things like that. So there's loads of things around that that's to be considered for sure. And I would like to be very interested to see this, because in theory, I mean, doing a bit of research in the background, a $385 billion market, this is absolutely incredible. I was reading in some of these articles we'll go into a second, but they're trying to push, to be at least of a value of 1 billion of that 385 in a short space of time. So we're going to go into that in a bit more detail. So just touching up a bit more on the staking. Unfortunately, all the staking pools for early adopters are ended now. So they're very much in fruition, and it looks like most of them are allowing early withdrawals around the 3rd of February next year. And then obviously they're going to allow extra opportunities in May. So these 2 dates could be of interest in the market. So if we're going back to the price points of right now, I think potentially, I'm going to look into this myself, of maybe obtaining some of these tokens on specific exchanges, as we mentioned, PancakeSwap and MEXC. This could be a good entry point, with the anticipation that some may sell off and put theirs on the exchange when the staking elements or early windows open around February. So it's just something to think about. I thought I'd throw that bit of info in there, because I think a lot of people miss these kind of things, especially when they're sort of thinking about, what's the price going to be at this point and this point. Well, clearly what's going to happen with this kind of project is it's going to build momentum, it's going to build awareness. It's very restricted at the moment, so I think once it comes out of the India environment, I think it will obviously accelerate itself in general anyway. But you can definitely see some variables in the chart aspects through identifying through research these kind of windows of opportunity where you might see some fluctuation in price. So just thought I'd throw that out there. So here's a couple of other things as well. So this is interesting from August. DRIFE hires chief scientist in big tech, approaching a $1 billion valuation after a historic launch. So absolutely phenomenal launch for DRIFE, but it's really interesting to see they got all these computer scientists coming across as well. You're seeing a lot of that in some of the Indian projects quite recently. We follow things like Solve, etc. as well. Similar principles in healthcare. I think India is a fantastic market for blockchain and crypto. This is why I don't believe for 1 second all the FUD that's put out in the news, because there are major projects that are going to be phenomenal for the economy of India moving forward. But look at this. DRIFE has 2,000 registered drivers already. This is from August, of course. 20,000 riders ready to go in Bangalore in India, with a target of 10,000 active drivers by Q3 2021. I'll be very interested to see if I can find some news maybe for the next update video as to where we are sitting compared to that target right there. In advanced stages of gaining operational approval in Brazil, France and Dubai. Okay, so gigantic markets there. Very interesting to see their timing, because obviously there might potentially be some more lockdowns worldwide, whether that's postponed to probably next year, I would have thought. But obviously plans for the rest of EU, US and Asian markets following those kind of moves. And look at that, DRIFE is also in conversation with representatives from El Salvador, the first crypto progressive country, as we all know from the most recent news. So I think it's very interesting. And it's seen here as well, the crypto companies backed by Master Ventures and a load of other ones here. Many of these I know quite well through work and everything, but raised over 2.7 million in funding so far. So that's absolutely fantastic. Of course, the IDO has already happened and everything, so clearly that went well, and they're looking to push forward. Drive to storm the cab driving industry. What I love, by the way, before I carry on, when there's a new project put in front of me, I won't just pick them and deliver the information straight away. I do like to see the media attention around it as well. So what they've been doing to push their project, because that's really important moving forward. It's all very well having a nice concept or an idea, but if you're not going to be pushing these in your own way and through media and everything like that, then you as an investor sort of sitting there going, well, I'm investing in this, how are we going to see signs of return on investment? So good little storylines around here. Blockchain-based ride-hailing platform is here to bring drivers and riders closer than ever. Probably should say ever before, but whatever. 100% of the profits go to drivers, costs can be slashed, and the riders also stand to pay less for higher quality experience. So that's very interesting points here in this particular article, but I'll leave some of these links in the description. And then finally here as well, I thought this was really interesting. So DRIFE partners up with Roam to make up geolocation tracking symbols. We just mentioned about the geofencing and the geo-tracking. So clearly there's some good partnerships going on. This was quite a recent one, about a month or so ago, conveying this element of the geolocation aspect to make it more efficient, more sufficient aspect of pickups, locations, and things like that. So really interesting that they're partnering with these outside external platforms as well to bring a more unified experience to the customer. And then finally, I thought this was one of the most interesting parts. Former Uber director takes an investment, an advisory stake with DRIFE. Very, very interesting. So obviously not part of Uber anymore, but clearly sees the potential, and probably has a good stash of money from his original Uber outings at the beginning of their history. But look at this as well. As a professional, Daniel has previously advised the UK ambassador to Brazil on political matters, as well as one of the architects of ride-sharing regulatory debates in Brazil and Latin America. Very convenient, considering the point we just made about the ambitions of DRIFE to move into some of these markets. So this is the sort of stuff I love to see. They're not standing still. They're looking to drive forwards. And I'm very much interested in following this project. I'm not a massive fan of PancakeSwap. That's just my personal opinion. But I will probably set up a MEXC account, and I'm actually going to probably dip into this one around this period of time, especially with the market corrections that we've had quite recently in the last few days. In fact, let's just have a quick look at the 7-day. I mean, it's actually very responsive compared to the rest of the market, which is very, very interesting. Of course, we had the dip down that we saw over the last couple of days, but it seems to not really be responding to that, and it's doing its own thing. So that could be a couple of positive attributes to sit there. And at the end of the day, I don't really look too much at the price. I look at what its potential is. And if this is what it's like when it's just in India, imagine what it's going to be like when it goes global. So guys, that's very much a quick, brief intro to DRIFE. I thought I'd bring it to your attention. Thank you to the person that mentioned this in the community page comment on the People's Crypto request section. Do by all means look out for episode 5's request post towards the end of this week, which we will be delivering videos on next week. So I've got a couple more for episode 4 to do this week, but hopefully this is a good starting point, and I think this is a fantastic project. I'm going to look at some of the competitors, so when we do an update video on this, maybe in a couple of weeks time, and I've got some in the bank as it were in my portfolio, I'll be looking forward to updating this. But yeah, very interesting. Chief scientists previously worked with Google Research, Amazon, and Microsoft Research. So these guys are clearly bringing in people in the know. So guys, let us know if you're holding this token or staking it, or if indeed you are part of the IDO. Really interested to know your thoughts and opinions on it. And let us know your opinions in general on this. Do you have competitors in your mind towards this project in the blockchain crypto space? Let us know, and we will try and cover those in the next update video as well. So guys, thank you so much for watching. Hopefully you found this informative. We'll leave that there, and we'll see you in the next video. Bye bye.